Welcome to Witchy Shit by Design, the podcast where we call out old patterns, dismantle the conditioning of a patriarchal society, and reclaim the power that was never meant to be given away. I'm your host, Michaela Stone, behavior analyst, human design strategist, lifelong nomad, and professional life untangler. Here, the conversation is spicy, guided by a no bullshit, wise woman perspective that says what needs to be said. This podcast is for those who are done living under invisible rules that keep them running in ever smaller circles, and who are ready to design a life that actually feels like their own. Through solo episodes and conversations with guests who are magical by practice, magical by nature, or a powerful blend of both, we explore the many pathways to personal sovereignty. If you're ready for truth, transformation, and a little witchy wisdom along the way, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Let's dive into the witchy shit by design. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Witchy Shit by Design, the podcast with the most. The most what? Well, the most good stuff, obviously. Now, we had an episode recently with Ani Papazyan, and I probably did bad things to her surname, but I'll ask Annie to say it herself in a moment. Annie was here recently, and we had a phenomenal conversation about genetics, about nutrition, about health, all those things. And I had a number of people jumping into my messenger and saying, hey, we need more. I wasn't ready for that conversation to finish, which is really great to hear. You know, for a new podcast, it's like, oh, good, you want more. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that today we have more. Annie is back, and Annie, take it away. Say hi to the people who called you back.
Well, hello, Michaela, and hey, everyone. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be back for part two of the episode and the topic. So, I'm Ani Papazyan, based in Los Angeles, and as a pain resolution practitioner for 3 decades, I mainly work with women that are stuck in a chronic pain pattern. And I help them with self help techniques, personalized recommendations, suggestions, resources, so they can become their own health advocates and finally take charge of their health.
I love that. As someone who, full disclosure, I have a chronic condition. It's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it's the hypermobile type, often referred to as a rare condition, which is absolute bullshit. It's not rare. It's genetic and it's rarely diagnosed, which is a very different matter. Right up until the time it's diagnosed, you're told it's all in your head, and get over it. It's just because of stress, and I'm sure stress plays a part. But having someone that can actually work with you to figure out how to manage the things you have, to lessen some of the things, to just maybe not experience them right now, because you're not born experiencing everything you experience, a few decades later. So tell us about sort of how do you manage that for someone? A new person walks into your office or comes to your space and they say, hey, this is what I've got. Help me.
Well, you said EDS, and I cannot tell you throughout the years how many times I asked that question to a client. Do you by any chance may have EDS? And they look at me, they're like, what is that? I'm like, please look it up and then ask your doctor to run tests. And a lot of times you need very specific genetic testing done
Yep.
where they check for connective tissue, whatever the specific genes for connective tissues. And based on that, they can diagnose. But yes, you're right. So a lot of times, whenever I get a client, if they have a diagnosis or I may be questioning, or they've had this pain that has been going on for years and they've been to so many practitioners and they've done this test and that test. My first thing is, let's do genetic testing. Let's see what's foundationally your genes, what genes you have that you got from your parents. And a lot of times that gives a lot of the aha moments and answers that, oh yeah, you constantly get, have systemic inflammation because of this. You have specific genes, or even though you eat healthy and exercise, but you have difficulty losing weight, or your stress is either, you're very prone to anxiety or ADD or ADHD, or you're more prone to soft tissue injuries. You do any sports and then you get injured, and then it takes so much longer for you to recover. Then you go with your friend and you do the same exercises, they lose weight and you don't.
Right.
So
Yes. And some exercises, I think, are contraindicated, probably by the genetic testing as much as anything. I remember doing yoga like a champion before I had the diagnosis, right? I would do yoga a lot. And the chiropractor that I frequented, and I really was there a lot, said to me one day, could you just stop? Could you just not keep doing this? I mean, you're paying for my next car, but seriously, this is over the top, you know. And I, at that time, I was at the chiropractor 2, 3 times a week to get things put back into place because I was subluxating. And for anybody who doesn't know that word, subluxating means you're basically slipping out of place. It's a dislocation or a partial dislocation. And I was doing that all over the place. And the poor guy had to keep putting me back together again. And, I didn't realize that it was just something I shouldn't be doing. If somebody had told me, hey, look, if you do yoga, you're going to end up with some really big issues. And this is why, look at this little gene here,
and
that would have been helpful.
oh, absolutely agree. And your podcast mainly being for towards women and women's empowerment and women taking charge is, especially nowadays, women going through perimenopause and menopause. And then when you know your genetics of, okay, I have certain genes which break down my steroid hormones, or how my detoxification, phase one detoxification, is it too fast, and then my phase two is too slow. So my body is accumulating all these steroid hormones that cannot break down fast enough. And then on top of it, you're taking hormone replacement therapy because your hormones are all over the place, or your doctors, a lot of times they give you birth control pills to control your perimenopausal symptoms, or you have really bad periods, tons of pain, or 1 month you have and then 3 months you don't have, to regulate your hormones. But and then your detoxification is off, so those steroid hormones don't break down properly, your body cannot clear it up, and then you have all these hormonal irregularities because of that. So that's the beauty of genetics, that it will show you, okay, this is how your body does it. And then when you take that information to your doctor, hopefully your doctor is a receptive one and doesn't think he's God, that
So
says,
many do.
okay, this is a great information, because based on that, I can personalize my approach, or even your hormone replacement therapy, because some women truly need it to have the quality of life. Even short term, they need that. But nowadays we have, it's not like a one plant fits all. We have a compound pharmacies that they can create specific dosages for your needs.
Wow. I'm sitting here thinking, this, I have so many thoughts all at once about this, so I'll just unpack a few of them. One is, wow, this sounds expensive, right? Because it's genetic testing, and it's not something that you hear about people doing all the time. But let's just put a pin in that for a second, because then I'm also thinking, as someone who is a master nutrition coach, like I have that background. I used to own a gym in Malaysia, and I trained women. So, I have the fitness thing. I'm a lifetime spin instructor, etc., etc. I can go through the yada yadas on all of that, right? But all of that is really, it's noise, and you have to try and pick from it what you want to try now, what do you want to play with now. And it's very hit and miss. It's a bit like playing darts. When you're not very good at darts, you might completely miss the board and put a hole in your wall or shatter the window, and maybe you get a bullseye, but the chances are not that great when you're just trying to figure it out yourself. So, going back to the pin I put in expensive genetic testing, just I'm thinking now of the not only the financials, the money that you would save, but the physical toll that you could save yourself by having the genetic testing and getting it right with, scientific basis. Like that is phenomenal, and it would have to save you money, but also longevity, quality of life. It's got to save a bunch of things doing it that way. It
Well,
sounds phenomenal to me.
it's how you look at, yes. So you're doing all these, let's say, right things. You know that you're supposed to be eating healthier, and healthy is a very broad statement when it
Yes.
comes to healthy eating.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
when my clients say I eat healthy, I'm like, just walk me through it. It's like what healthy sounds to one person could be like, holy crap, that's my like cheat day,
Uh-huh.
for the other person. But so you're trying to eat healthy, you're trying to exercise, do something, relaxation, whatever for you. You're already spending the time doing all these things. Now you have this chronic pain that you've gone to doctors, done all these tests, and you're still in pain. You're getting frustrated because you're doing all these things that tell you to do. Your quality of life sucks, which means the people, your family around you, your mood is not the best. You're not the best companion, for your children, for your partners, for your friends.
For
But
yourself, actually.
for
Like you have to deal with yourself all the time. It's not fun.
Well, so you can do the genetic testing, which may sound, which is not, but it may sound, okay, expensive, which again, I say it's not. But it's, how the value we put on things. Like for me, I could care less about diamonds, gold, but I would pay five, six, seven, $800 for a purse or a shoe. For me, it's
Okay.
worth it. For me, it's totally worth it. I will not pay 700 or $1,000 for a night of hotel because it
Right.
comes with the butler. I could care less about that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
It's
the
what you
value.
value. It's where you put your priorities. The reason I say it's expensive is I live in a rural town where, people are lucky if they make their rent. They really are at the edge financially. And I have worked with people who live in a food desert where, they actually buy their typical daily food from the dollar store. I kid you not. I was quite stunned when I came across this in real time. So for that person, it's super expensive. But at the same time, it's with some work, with some finagling and what have you, it can be reachable, and it will save you so much in the long term. That's the thing, is this is investing in you, and really investing in you, not buying the gym equipment or
Yep.
the membership or the latest program. And as somebody who's done coaching for some time, it's the wilderness dog says they're a coach, right? And they may have some experience, no experience. They may have knowledge. They may be god awful at it, or they may be excellent. And it's again, it's playing darts when you've never played darts before. Maybe you get a good one, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
This is something that you can invest in with confidence because, and honestly, I'm not getting a commission for this, people. I'm just
Yeah.
going with what Annie's saying. And I'm like, this is my processing out loud. And my processing out loud is when you're getting your own blueprint given back to you. And this is the reading of your blueprint. This is how it works. This is what it means. I can't imagine a better investment. I mean,
Yeah.
human design is the sort of energetic version of that. And the 64 gates of human design actually correlates to the 64 codons of
That's what we
DNA,
kind
right?
of,
So
yeah.
this is human design is the genetic print, if you will, for your how you show up energetically. And I've worked with that for a while now, so I understand the value of it. But when it comes to your physical health, which houses everything, the rest of you doesn't happen if you don't have your physical health. Wow, that is something I would am about to right now put a sort of priority on, because
Isn't
you
it
can't
this?
get better than that.
I thought there was a saying, if you don't have your body, where you gonna live? There's a saying like that,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, and if you're in a derelict house, it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
Don't derelict yourself.
sometimes people think, well, I do have my nutritionist and my nutritionist helps me. The cool thing is, what I like working with nutritionists, like people like you, that, okay, we'll do the genetic testing. I break it down and then I'll give the information, of course, with the client's permission. I would give the inside information to the nutritionist, let's say to you, and then you continue working with your client. But now, you, on top of the stuff that you're expert in, you then incorporate the genetics with it, the information that came from the genetic, their blueprint, and imagine how you personalize it.
Oh, phenomenal. I mean, that that's good for everybody, right? Because as a nutrition coach, you're given the map. You don't have to try and figure it out, or, follow arbitrary rules for something. You've actually got the information you need to know what your client is going to benefit from. And that makes you look good. So it's not a bad thing. I think everybody wins from that.
Yeah.
But, in the US, and I say this as somebody who is not from the US, but I've been living here long enough to fully appreciate certain aspects of being here. And one of the things that occurs to me forcibly, also as I used to be a nurse, the medical system here, it was broken before. It is now broken and under duress at this point. And so the medical practitioner, if you're lucky enough to have one, and I have clients that don't, but if you're lucky enough to have a medical practitioner, chances are the codes that they have to use for insurance give them 5 minutes to talk to you about something, no minutes to talk to you about that. And literally, the conversations they can have with you are broken down into medical codes. So that doctor isn't going to say, "Hey, are you sleeping okay? What are your stress levels like? How is your work life? How is your intimate relationship doing?" They don't ask you these things, all of which affect you, let alone looking at genetics or anything else. Like, they don't have the bandwidth, the time, or the payment for it. And the places they work for are putting them under pressure, move people through faster, make more money, make more money. So you're at the bottom of the tree, man, when it comes to healthcare. They're not healthcare, they're disease management.
Yes.
And that is a whole other ball game, and it sucks.
That's exactly, actually, yesterday we were recorded. This doctor reached out to me and he has a podcast. So he invited me to be a guest on his podcast. And that was one of the things. He's a MD acupuncturist and functional medicine doctor. He's in his 70s. Amazing. And one of the conversation came up that nowadays regular MDs are so fed up with the medical system that they leave the major like hospitals and stuff and become functional medicine practitioners into cash practice because they're fed up with the insurance and those codes and not covering, and you have to be very creative in your coding to get paid.
Yeah. A
And
lot
like,
of places also are not hiring doctors now, but they're hiring nurse practitioners. And I want to speak to that for a moment because, as someone who ran a medical practice, okay, for the listener, I have lived in a lot of different places and I've done different things in those different places. So I am not blowing smoke. I have done these things. I ran a medical clinic as a nurse practitioner when I lived in Bangladesh because that was like the best option for the people that I was serving at the time. But I know what knowledge I brought to the table as a nurse practitioner. And it is not the same as a doctor. Now, did I do my job? Sure, I did my job. Did I do it well? I didn't lose anybody, we did it well enough. But it's not the same thing as a medical doctor who has gone to university to, learn specific things, right? And specialists, for example, who have learned even more. So the trend moving towards nurse practitioners who get paid less but are stressed just as much. This too is going to show up in how and what they prescribe.
yeah, well, right now, especially I'm in Los Angeles, and I hear this a lot from my clients that their doctor went into concierge medicine,
Mm,
and which means you pay an annual fee. But on top of it, the first person you see is the nurse practitioner. And then some cases you do see the doctor. But most of the time for a regular visit and stuff, you do see the NP, nurse practitioners. And a lot of the doctors just go into concierge medicine. But like you said, only people that have the money to pay for concierge medicine can afford that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's becoming a case of, we're going to see a difference in lifespan showing up in the US more and more starkly. And not only is it going to be socioeconomic, right, between the people who can afford the concierge and who can't, but now you're going to get into demographics as well, right? There will be sections of society, such as Black people are typically underserved in any case. This is about to get a whole heap worse with the way things are going.
Yeah.
So, if you can make a focus of really finding out what your system needs and how you're going to operate, you can prevent a lot of those visits to people who really, with the best will in the world, you are one of many. They have a ton of people to get through today and they got about 15 minutes. Could you hurry up and tell me where it hurts? Right. And they're going to give you the symptom. They're going to work on the symptom. And if your symptom is treated with something that then gives you another symptom, what I've seen happening a lot is they will give you a medication for that symptom rather than going back to the first issue and saying, okay, maybe this isn't our best approach. And you see people on multiple medications for things. And if you follow the tree of, okay, this medication treats that, which is caused by this, which comes from here, you can actually see that somebody on 12 meds could probably do okay with three. And if they were actually treated with their genetic blueprint in front of you, maybe they wouldn't need any of them, or maybe just one, right? You're saving everybody time, money, effort, and also you're preserving your health.
But also knowing the medications, I think we spoke a bit about it last time. Genetically, you can not very like specific medication, but you can find out, there are certain genes and genetic variants that could say, okay, your body may not do well with the, let's say, this type of anxiety medications, because genetically your body breaks down very fast or very slow. the certain brain chemicals. So if you're in an anxiety and your doctor says you need an anxiety medication, instead of giving you some either breathing techniques or asking you, what's the stress relief that you're willing to participate in, would it be yoga, tai chi, or qigong, or maybe earthing or breathing techniques, whatever. The easy way say, here, take the pill, because that's all they know, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
genetically, or you take that information to your doctor. I cannot tell you how many times my client will call me and say, Ani, I have an appointment with my doctor. What questions should I ask? Because you know what I'm going through.
Hmm.
Because they know that doctor doesn't have that much time. So they go prepared. Okay, you ask these questions, and then because we know your genetic blueprint, I would like for your doctor to run these lab tests so we can see, dig deeper.
Oh, that's,
The doctor says,
yeah.
you're fine, you don't need those tests. You say, could you please put that in my notes that you're refusing to run those tests? And I guarantee you, doctor won't do that. They will run the tests because it's your health, it's your insurance company that's paying for it, and you're paying for that insurance. So
Absolutely.
being
And
prepared, being in charge, I'm not saying ignore your doctors. No, they have their place. You know, they have the knowledge in certain things, like a lot more than me. I could never be a doctor. I could never finish medical school. I just couldn't. So I
the,
have a respect for them going through that and passing their exam. I have utmost respect for that.
the thing
But
is, I think doctors need to work with you on your health, not talk at you with your health. And that's, having worked in a hospital and having run a medical clinic, like I've had a look at this from a number of different directions. And if they can't allow you to contribute to your own healthcare, then you need a different medical practitioner because that person doesn't have space for you in their office.
yeah.
And why are you even there at that point? You
But as
know,
a patient, you have to be very proactive,
you
not,
do.
oh, the doctor said I need this. Ask questions. Don't just blindly follow this, because it's so interesting. A friend of mine who was given, she's in mid 60s, she was given blood pressure medication. And interestingly, she ran out, even though she reached out to the doctor's office that in a couple of days, I'm running out of my medication. And the one that you gave me is discontinued. And then I have no refill. Well, the doctor's office didn't get back to her after over a week later. So she was already out of the medication. What she noticed, interestingly, that she goes, Ani, I never realized that when I was on that medication, I had a brain fog. My feet were swollen. After I stopped taking because I ran out of the medication, I noticed that my brain is clearer. And she goes,
Mm.
feet swelling went away. She goes, I never put those two together, that those were the side effects of the medication.
Right. Well,
I'm not
you
saying
don't
she's going to get back on it, but she may ask for another kind that doesn't give her those side effects.
you don't necessarily realize because you're not focusing on it, and we accept as normal whatever we get used to. So whatever you are at, that's where your bar gets set, and you don't realize how shitty you feel because you don't remember how it is to feel otherwise. Now, I got to, given the title of the podcast, I got to bring in some wise woman stuff here and say we, especially in the US, but not only, we rely way too heavily on medications when some very simple natural herbal remedies would work wonders. And I can't give medical advice on a podcast. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never made it to doctor, etc. So full disclosure, I'm not saying, hey, do this thing, but at the same time, look at what are the natural medicines out there? And if you know your genetic blueprint, you'll know what's likely to work for you and what isn't. Me, I like that first. Centuries ago when I became a nurse, in the UK, we would use really simple methods, right? Like if somebody's got a superficial infection, skin infection, you would dress it with a gauze soaked in salt water. And that would cause the infection to draw out. The salt would draw it out. You don't need antibiotics for that, right? Like you can fix it with salt water. And we did that in the hospital. And we would use a lot of very natural remedies like gentian violet for a fungal infection. When I think of it, it's like talking about a previous, era or something. But I remember doing this for people, and antibiotics was something that, if you're wheeling those things out, it's like, oh, okay, this is something we can't fix otherwise. But
Yeah,
it's a last ditch thing, and your body would respond to it because it's not used to it. Like you're
yeah.
now hitting it with the heavy guns. But how many people go to the doctor and they get told, "Oh, look, it's probably a virus, but here, take these antibiotics anyway." And you're like,
Well, yeah,
"Why?"
interesting you said that because, like, a friend of mine had MRSA, which a lot of times the antibiotic doesn't touch it.
Antibiotics cause it.
Could cause it too.
Look,
But
they do. That's where it came from. Was
what was
misuse of antibiotics. When I was in hospital working, we didn't have that. It didn't exist. That has
yeah,
been created by overuse and misuse of antibiotics.
because the body gets used to it. But hers
Yep.
was, between her like thighs, it was almost like a boil. And so what she did, she would open, the garlic peel because garlic is very high in niacin.
Yep.
So she would open, so like from the health food stores, you can get the one it's more known, Kyoli garlic, which is very high in niacin. So she would open the garlic, the powder, the capsule, and she would actually put it on her wound, what's inside the capsule, instead of taking it internally. She would put it on the wound and create like a bandage.
Hmm.
After a while, that would take care of it. That would take
Absolutely.
care of MRSA.
Basilica powder is
Yeah,
phenomenal for instead of using an antibiotic ointment. You would put a dusting of that, and problem solved, and your healing is a lot
I
quicker.
use laser. I use laser blue light.
Okay, that's
Blue
another thing.
light kills bacteria, infection. In the hospitals to disinfect the rooms, they use blue light. So I use blue laser with a specific wavelength. I think it's around 400 nanometer, 450 nanometer wavelength. That's the blue light healing. Whenever, like sometimes I have client come with a cold sore or their herpes outbreak, or could be that there's hemorrhoids kind of aggravated. We just do a laser, the blue light with some red light and infrared. That definitely helps.
I
But
I
yeah,
think using the natural approach, the wise woman approach of dealing with your body with natural things is very likely to give you a better result because your body knows what to do with that. It recognizes it.
yeah,
This is a natural substance. And there are things that are attached to the main ingredient you're looking for that the chemical manufacturers who produce, they take white willow bark and they make aspirin. Well, aspirin, it's not made from the willow bark, it comes from that originally. Now it's a chemical facsimile of it. And so some of the things that come with that active ingredient in the willow bark are not reproduced in the tablet that you take. So the effect is different, and the body recognizes it differently, it metabolizes it differently.
mhm,
It has a whole different effect for you. But knowing more of the natural medicines and where they come from, what they're supposed to do, I think is something, if you have the time and the capacity to educate yourself on natural remedies and
yeah,
get yourself a natural practitioner, naturopath, however you want to do whichever you have in your environment, um, that is a really good step to maintaining health rather than managing disease. And then having someone like Annie, or I'm going to say, hey, go hog wild, Annie, and have you, you know, read this thing, and with all the experience and the knowledge that you have,
Well,
wow,
yes, and
that's just such a gift.
I want to make sure that the audience doesn't think we're like totally against medication, because medicine has its place.
Of
It's
course,
very
yeah.
powerful, especially, we're talking about US. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm from. I didn't grow up in this country. I come from former Soviet Union, Armenia, where when I was little, the doctors will come in the house. Everything was first-hand natural approach.
Hmm.
But here in the US, doctors have their place. Emergency medicine is fantastic. Like when I had my appendectomy, emergency appendectomy, where it almost burst, like I did not need a natural medicine. I need a surgeon that knew
Uh-huh.
exactly what he was doing and did. But here we're talking about, preventative health, to be in charge, especially us women. And, when you're in your like 40s, 50s, you're going through those transition, and some women think your life is over, and some doctors say, oh, that pain is normal for your health, or you just now have to be on hormone replacement therapy, and you have to be on this medications, because that's normal for your age, or that's
Yeah.
how it goes. Just learn to live with it. Is I just want every woman to say no, you know
Well,
uh, learn.
I would like to point out that no doctor is ever going to say that to a man, right? You just deal with it because it's your age.
Oh,
You,
you'd be
you,
surprised. I had a
I
client. Oh,
would be surprised. I would be surprised because I haven't heard that. I hear it said
he's,
to women.
he said he had a hip pain, and his doctor said that's normal for your age. I said, can I please give you one advice? Get a new doctor, and
100%.
let's figure out why you're having a hip pain, because there is a reason.
Of course, there's a reason. If you have pain, there's a reason for
So,
it. Like something, your body's talking to you. It's like, no, no, no. Just ignore that bit. It's only there because you had a certain number of birthdays. Bullshit.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think
It's
so.
Oh, I was just, that was so interesting. Yesterday's podcast, the gentleman was talking about one of his patients, I think 90-year-old woman. She was in so much pain and issues, and they thought she was going to die. And then there was a simple thing of that was causing her systemic inflammation. They figured it out, got rid of that. He goes, after 2 months, I saw her and she looked 15 years younger.
I have a similar story that I want to throw out there. When I was a nurse, we had a patient come into the hospital. She was 99 and she came in with difficulty walking. That was her problem. And she was such a character. She used to talk to the spirits in the wall and all kinds of things. She kept trying to pair the nurses and the doctors up like she was a riot. And she kept everybody busy on the ward. But what we found for her was she had a buildup of fluid. So diuretics, where you're basically peeing out the excess fluid, that was it. That was all she needed to literally get her back on her feet. Within 2 weeks, she walked out of there upright, beautiful posture, laughing and joking, like having the best time. She was 99, and her daughter, who was in her 60s, had come to take her home. The daughter walked with a cane and looked older than mom did. But
Yeah,
mom was actually in great fettle. All she needed was this little diuretic tablet, one of them, and she was fixed within a couple of weeks. She was just fine. And off
yeah,
she toddled, and I hope she lived another 20 years at least because, she was such a character and full of life.
yeah.
Age
It's
didn't
just,
stop her any.
That's one of the things, I say when people say why you specialize in pain relief. Some of the My main thing is I get pissed off at people that say, oh, these are the cards I was dealt with, or this is my life, or my doctor said that's normal for your age, or because you have this. It's like, if
Uh-huh.
I can just put one thing in your head today, that you have control over your own health, be proactive. Prevention is what they said, that prevention is whatever, prevention is whatever than cure.
It's far more valuable. I know there's a saying, I can't
Yeah,
think what it is,
it's
but
prevention.
prevention. It's like that sewing example, right? A stitch in time saves nine. That's something my mother used to
Never
say.
heard of that.
So yeah, if you catch a tear and you fix it early, it doesn't get so big, right?
Okay, there you go.
Same
Yeah.
thing with prevention, and I think that's the key. Is American people in particular are not educated in a way that tells them prevention is possible, desirable, or actually something that you should look for as normal. When you look at all the medication advertisements, right? Hey, is this medication making there's this kinetic dyskinesia, I think it is, where there's facial movements going all over the place. And I looked at this and I thought, what the hell is that? As a nurse, I've never seen anybody do that. And then I saw, oh, this is a side effect of a medication that people take for bipolar
Yeah.
disorder, for
Yeah.
example.
It's
Okay, so you are going to give that person. Now, I know that that person needs medication. Okay, we're not going to argue that. But Judas Priest, could you find something a bit better than a thing that gives them these crazy physical movements that they then have to take another heavy duty medicine for? Like, bloody hell, should we just get the shotgun out? Like, this is nuts. There
what's so
has to be a
funny.
better way than that.
What was it, last year or year 2 years ago, when I was, Janet Jackson was doing the world tour. I was
Ooh, I didn't know you were going to tell people that one.
in London for almost a month. We were in London, and on their TV there was a program where this, like a live program where these people were talking about what's on TV in America, and they get shocked. These
Uh-huh.
UK people, they get shocked, and one of the things that shocked them was medical medication. Um, oh my God, what
The
were we
advert
talking
the
about?
advertisements,
The advertisements. Thank you.
yeah,
The medication advertisements, because they don't show that in UK.
they don't show it anywhere else.
What? They have medication. It was so funny
No,
that
it is. To me, I came from that culture, and to me, I'm this is the eighth country I've lived in, right? I have never seen medical stuff advertised the way it is here. To advertise a medication and to say, hey, you should go tell your doctor you want this. I'm sorry, you should what now? Because you went to school to learn about this? No, 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 no. But how many things are they putting on those advertisements that are actually to counteract a side effect of something? Like, I saw a medication out there for restless leg syndrome. And I'm looking at that and saying, well, you only get restless leg syndrome if you're taking this medication or that medication, and change the damn medication. Like, what are you doing giving
favorite
medication for the medication?
some of the side effects may cause death. And I'm like, yeah, but then you won't have this. You may die, but you won't have this. It's just, yeah, it's in.
And you notice with the advertisements what they do every single time, because I watch this and it's like, oh, my husband sort of leaves the room when I'm gonna look at one of these ads. I don't watch TV that often, but I love to pick apart these ads. So they show you somebody doing the bare minimum of effort, right? Looking really happy doing so, and it's just so simple to take this medication. Absolutely the easiest thing in the world. Hell, you don't even have to go see a doctor. We'll show you the face of somebody on a screen and then they'll send it to you, right? So you don't have to leave your sofa even. It's so easy. And then, right when they're going to tell you about all the different ways it can maim and kill you, they switch the advertisement to something much more energetic and distracting. And the whole time they're running as fast as they can through all the ways this medication is going to do bad things to you, this distraction is happening. And then when they finish saying all of that, they go straight back to the person on the sofa who's living their best life, doing rock all. And all the advertisements are like that. I
Yeah.
challenge the listener to watch an advertisement and see exactly what I've just told you. They're either singing, dancing, and having a wonderful time, or they're lying on the sofa with their perfectly manicured nails. But they're not putting an effort in that causes sweat or discomfort or anything that might tell you, oh, there's a problem here, right? So they talk about why you need the med,
Yeah.
but yeah, the advertisements are literally, hey, buy our product. This is a
Yeah.
medication, people. This is gonna, it's like taking a shotgun to kill a sparrow. You are hitting your entire body with this thing for one condition that you may not be accurate about.
Yeah.
And
So
you're
all
telling your doctor stuff who doesn't have time to pass it out for themselves. So they're probably just going to say, oh, you saw that, did you? Sure. Okay, here you go. And they'll
yeah.
give you the med.
Yeah, no, so that's why, especially this day and age, you just have to be more proactive, ask questions, be curious, ask questions, ask why, and be in charge of your own health because you deserve it. You deserve to know, you deserve to have that quality of life that doesn't matter what age you are, to enjoy it. I don't know.
Absolutely. And the doctor is never going to be as invested in your well being as you ought to be,
Well,
right? Like it's your life, you're living it. You might want to take care of that.
we spend that time, like I would spend when I do the genetic testing analysis, at least an hour breaking everything down for you, simplifying it. And then on top of it, when we're done the 1 hour recorded session, which the client gets the recording of it, because I encourage them once in a while go and listen to that video, because whatever we hear, we retain such a minute amount. So, but on top of it, I will send you like 2 3 page of, okay, these are the best foods for you, these are the best exercises for you, the lifestyle choices, these are the best ones for you based on your genetic makeup. And then next time you go see your doctor, please ask them this questions. Ask them to run this tests. So then when we meet next time, if you decide you want to dig deeper into, or we can see your progress, then we can, you know, take all that information, the stuff you've done, and see what's working best for you. Or again, dig even deeper into yours, because yours, I wish that listeners just go on my website, go to the genetics page, and you can download a sample report just to see how beautiful report it is. It's a 31 page, gorgeous with pictures, colors, everything. Just see the information you get. It's huge.
And the
It's
thing is, genetics don't change. Like the genetic makeup that you have is the genetic makeup you have. We discussed last time that the expression of those genes can vary depending on what you do in your life,
Yep.
but what you have, the potential that you have is there. So once you've done that genetic testing, you don't have to redo it and redo it and oh, it changed because I had another birthday or whatever. No, 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 this is you. So you have that report once you have yours, and I'm definitely going to get mine. Got to tell you, I have to. I can't sit here blathering away and then not go do it. Right? I have to walk the talk. That's without
Maybe once
question.
you do it, we can, if you're open to it, after analyzing it, we can do another episode just to uh, just to give your aha moments.
Oh, I think we need to, yeah, because I really value action, and I really value clear information, accurate information, and not blowing smoke, right? Like this whole podcast is to bring real stuff forward so that people can learn things, make choices, um, recognize something, like get some kind of value out of it.
Yeah.
And you don't do that in nothing but information, right? You need to have the application. That's the key
And
part. And I can't sit here being wowed by what you're telling me and then not take action, because that would just be bullshit, and I'm not here for that.
I wasn't planning on it, but as you're talking about it, it just kind of popped into my head. So I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not going to say what the special is going to be. I'll email it to you and you can put it in your show notes or in the notes of the podcast. A special offer, a discount offer.
Wow, phenomenal.
Genetic testing for, I would say, probably it will be until end of May. I offer it until end of May. Anyone wants to do their genetic testing and analysis, I'll give a special discount code when they
Wow.
just they can put it. And
Okay, listener, you are hearing something that Annie literally just decided on the spur of
I
the moment,
I just
and I
decided.
freaking love it. I'm here for it. That's epic. I know that you are running out of time really rapidly. You got some more things to do, because we could just keep talking and talking and talking. And you're definitely going to have to come back again, because we're going to have to go through, the experience of me getting my stuff done. And yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling you're going to be a regular feature on this
One
podcast.
of the things I would love to, if your audience is interested, if they want to get into like a very specifics of it, if they're curious about, okay, what else the genetic testing can show me, because from last time we talked about the how your body processes stress, how your body holds on to, let's say, cholesterol or processed cholesterol, the hormones, the not only just the stress, but also the detoxification, the oxidative stress, the exercise, what would be the best exercise for you, or the recovery from exercise, nutrition wise, like I should be eating lots of protein. I know
Right.
that from my genetics. But for some people, high protein, the keto diet, which is like very popular now, is not the best diet for them. Or again, we mentioned last time, intermittent fasting is the, like everyone is talking about. Well, genetically for me, and I didn't know that until I looked in my genetics, that intermittent fasting is one of the worst kind of diets, lifestyle choices I can follow, because it won't work for me because of my genetic blueprint.
Right.
So if the people have like a very specific questions that they want to dive deeper into, maybe they can put it questions addressed to you. Then we can give them something very specific that they're looking for.
Phenomenal. So I want to tell you where you can send those questions. Michaela, Michaela, at witchyshitbydesign.com, because that's where I'm at, baby. And I would, it'll be in the show notes. It's the name of the podcast. Like, you can't miss witchyshit.com, bydesign.com. Just put my name in the front and an at, and you got me. Send those questions. Absolutely. And if you have something specific for Annie when she returns, because I'm absolutely going to keep pulling her back. I think we're going to have something pretty regular going on here, at least for as long as you're available. Um, yeah, that is amazing. And I'm going to wrap it up now, because Annie has something else in about 2 minutes' time. I am Michaela Gaffin Stone. I am so thrilled that you joined us today. And Annie, you are a freaking rock star. I'm excited to get this done, and I can't wait to see what my results are. And yeah, and hey, just mention who the speaking of rock star, mention who the rock star is that I need to spend some time with. in the email, just so I know you're listening. Annie, you don't have to say it again. You said it once. If they were
Yeah.
listening, they heard it. Thank you so much. Tell them once more where your website is, and then we will sign off.
Thanks, everyone. It's last stop numeric 4 pain.com. Last stop for pain. And I do have some free resources there. Just check it out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You have been listening to Witchy Shit by Design. Woo!